What up, Mac?
What's up, Matt?
Hey, nothing much, man. So, we said last week we're going to discuss a topic tonight about one of the castles over there in Scotland. And, the name Sewevny. Sewevny. Sewevny is a Gaelic name for Sween.
Sween.
We are going to talk about Castle Sween tonight. Now, I don't know if anybody's really heard of Castle Sween. Maybe somebody has, maybe somebody hasn't. I don't know. But we're going to talk a lot about it. And by the end of this show, you're going to know quite a bit about Castle Sween. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good. This one is one that's near and dear to us because this is in our clan.
Yeah, we've got a lot of roots back to Castle Sween. Nothing recent, but in the early years, we've got some roots going back there, not with just our clan McMillan, but our friends over there, the McDonald's, and we're not talking about the Big Mac. So, to get started, talking about Castle Sween, there is some controversy as to when our castle was originally built. Some will tell you it was built in the late 11th century, and others will tell you it was the early 12th century. However, either way you really stab at it, we're looking at a castle that's about 900 years old, and it is declared as the oldest stone castle in Scotland. Am I correct, Andrew?
Yeah, you're correct.
So, man, what do we have on this thing being built? Do you know what the architecture style was from? Did it come from old Celtic style, or was it Norse? Where did it come from?
I think it was Norse is what I have.
Norse. So it's Norse architecture,
And
which is back then those Norse style castles, they were some pretty strong fortitudes at that time, weren't they?
yeah, they were. And where this one was built, it made it even better.
And they typically were located on water banks, weren't they? So they wanted water access, they wanted shipping and boat access. Definitely, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah. This one was built right there. I mean, a lot of them they'll either have them on near the shore, up high, or you're going to have it at least on a mountain or somewhere where you can have it basically see where everywhere around you.
Gotcha. So, Castle Sween is located on the west coast of Argyll, Scotland, which is located in Knapdale. And when I say it's located right on the coast, that's exactly what I mean. It's literally right there at the water. To kind of show you a little overview of that, a little bit to show you how close it is. It's right there at the water. So you got a cliff right there and the water's right at it. So they built this thing right on the coastline. And what waterway you're seeing there, if you look on the current day map, what you're seeing is water belonging to Loch Sween. If you're familiar with the Scottish area and where the lochs are at, this is actually Loch Sween, named for the area of Knapdale and Castle Sween, of course. So, yeah, it was pretty strong fortitude back then, to give kind of an idea of what this thing looked like when it was in its full glory and full operation. This is kind of a painting depicting what that castle would have looked like in its full glory. It doesn't look like much in today's standards, but back then this thing was quite the structure.
Yeah.
It certainly blew away a lot of the wooden forts of the time. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, with it being stone, it was a lot harder for people to break in and destroy it. So,
especially that cliffside.
yeah,
I mean, that would be kind of difficult to get to back then. Today, not so much, but back then, I'm sure it was quite a task. So let's come through here and let's check out some comments real quick before we move on there. So Mr. Raymond Newsom here says, "Hey everyone, what's up, Raymond? How you doing?"
Hey, what's up?
Let's see, Robert Humphreys, McInville. That's right, Mac in the house. Mac in the house. Let's see who else we got here. Matt Barron, paranormal consultant. What's up, man? How you doing there?
Hey, what's up, Matt?
Donna, what's up, Donna? That is the Arizona team manager for Global United. What's up, Donna? How you doing? Let's see here. Robert saying hi to everybody. Uh-oh. I've got to say hi to her because she'll kick my butt if I don't. This here is my mother. Hello, Mom. How you doing?
Hello, Carol.
Let's see. Christopher Ken Keith. What's up, everyone? What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Christopher?
Let's see. And Robert Humphreys is saying, what's up, Christopher? Raymond Newsom. Didn't I just talk to you guys? Yeah, it just kind of seemed like we did, didn't we?
Yeah, seems like this the other day.
Yep. And Robert says we everywhere. So it looks like a conversation between Robert and Raymond, there we go. Andy Balcom, the talk show McInville. Good evening, guys. What's up, Mr. Paratech? There he is, Mr. Paratech in the house. So that is our comments at the moment, and I'll try to keep that caught up as best as I can. Not going to guarantee anything, but I'm going to give it my best shot, Andy. So, okay, moving on. So we're sitting on the west coast of Argyll, Scotland, located in Knapdale. And, let's kind of get a picture of what was going on in this area during the time they built this castle, right? The economy at the time was at a time period where there was a lot of bartership going on with goods. They were trading goods for other goods. And it was just coming into that time period where they were making actual metal coins for trade. So if that tells you anything, I mean, we're talking, this is a very long time ago. So they're just then coming up with the coin system for currency, You got anything on their economy to piggyback off of that?
No, I didn't really find anything on it on my notes.
Oh, good. I kind of researched that a little bit and got a little backdrop on this, huh? All right. So the language of the time was, we know it today as Gaelic. Back then, they considered it Scottish. Plain and simple, it was pretty easy for them. It's Scottish language. Hey, they're speaking Scottish. Today, it's not really Scottish. It's kind of like a stronger draw of English, from England, but it's still English. So, their culture, very simple culture. They followed the Irish culture of the day, basically the Celtic type way of doing things. Except, of course, they wore kilts and skirts. You ever worn a skirt, Andrew?
No, I haven't.
Would you ever wear a skirt, Andrew? You don't have to
wear a kilt, yeah.
You wear a kilt. We don't call it a kilt. Okay, we'll call it a kilt. We'll put some sugar on. We'll put some sugar coating on it, right? All right, I dig it. I understand.
Yeah, that's our culture, so.
That's right. Absolutely, man. I don't know that I dig the color, but it is what it is. We don't get that choice, unfortunately. Scotland in these times, they were, their religion at the time, they had already pretty much been Christianized. So they're already in the Christian culture by the time this particular castle came to be. So, they had churches being built. Matter of fact, there is a church right next to it. Not too far from it anyway. Still has a cemetery to it that was built back in those days along with it. The roof is off of it. They've got it all encased in glass now. They've got a lot of the effigies laying around inside. It's a pretty cool thing to look at. So the downside to the area at this time, Andrew, is that Scotland in this time period, other than the Irish, most others really viewed Scotland as being a place that was outlandish or a place of barbarism, barbaric, because of the way that they would do their raids. They would take pregnant women, they'd lance them open. They would take unborn children, put them on spear points. They would behead priests at altars, and this kind of activity, of course, naturally was considered to be barbaric. But the Irish was like, hey, I think that's pretty cool. We do the same thing over here. So they're civilized, It's like, okay. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it's pretty wild stuff back then, So that kind of gives you an idea of the things going on back then. You had you had Christianity, but yet you had all these crazy things going on, So it was pretty simple living back then, but I'd say it was pretty hard too.
Yeah.
So what do you got, man? Beyond the backdrop of Scotland during that time?
Well, we haven't talked about who actually built the castle yet.
Okay. So go ahead.
So I was gonna say he was from Irish descent. He was basically the son of an Irish prince, the guy that basically built it. See if I can pronounce his name. It's Swevin, I think.
That it's pronounced Suevna.
Swevna, or
Suevna.
A lot of people say Sween now is basically what
and that's
kind of goes to.
Yeah, that's exactly what it translates to in English. The Suevna name which is actually spelled Suibhne. It's actually pronounced Sewevna. That is the Gaelic name for Sween, which later became what we know today as McSween or McSweeney. So the McSweens and McSweeneys are descendants of the Sewevna clan. But I think it's Sewevna, the guy that you're talking about. He was the son of Hugh Enrahan, which in turn was the brother of King Ulster, which was the High King of Ireland at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, most definitely the Sewevna is definitely coming from Ireland. That's for sure.
And like you said, he was the one, he founded both the clans, McSweeney and Sweeney is where they came from.
Yeah, that's where that came from.
And later on, he became the Lord of Knapdale also.
Okay, cool. See, that's not in my notes. So let's see. So this thing was built somewhere in the late 11th century, 12 or early 12th century. So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. What do you think? We go into, say, the 13th century. By this time, the McSweens, they possessed, most of the lands in Knapdale. And this was by the second half of the 13th century. They've actually passed the territories into different families, such as the Stuarts and the Menteiths. They passed ownership to those particular hands. I don't know, and it's unclear whether or not there was a battle for it or if it was some kind of a mutual trade-off at the time, but that's unclear from my findings. I don't know if you have found anything to solidify what took place during that transformation, but according to what I'm finding, I'm not able to definitively come to a common ground as to whether that was a battle that ensued or if that was a common agreement between the two.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything either. It just said that they replaced them as in the castle, so I never saw anything about an actual battle for that one.
Right. Now, if you go in the year 1310, Edward II, which was King of England, he did grant John McSween, which here we go. Here's a downline of the Sweens or McSweeneys, and his brothers, the McSweens, lands in Knapdale, which they considered ancestral lands to the McSweens. But there was a deal though, because see, kings just didn't give things out for nothing, right?
No, never.
They got to get something in return, right?
Yeah.
So you know what this was, right?
Yeah, they sided with them during the War of Independence.
And they had to oust John Menteith.
Yeah.
And so long as they ousted John Menteith, they could get all their lands back. So it sounds to me like there was some kind of, I don't know what caused them to hand over or where the transition went, where the Stuarts and the Menteith family took over the lands or the property. But definitely by this time, there was some deals going on where they were trying to get John Menteith out of the mix there somehow, out of the picture. So that was in the year 1310. And it looks like it took them about 13 years to do this, because in 1323 is where we see the death of John Menteith occur. So let's see. Yeah, and this is going to occur, Andrew, all the way up to about 1376, where it actually passed into possession into John MacDonald's, or John MacDonald the First. It went into his possession, which they at that time considered to be the Lord of the Isles. So it pretty much stayed in that transition period for about 50, 60 years. And then it transferred into the hands of the MacDonalds, which now you're going into a time period in 1376, for the next 150 years, it pretty much stayed in the possession of the McDonald clan. And during that time is where you see families like the McNeils and like us, the McMillans, that came into play as being keepers, or what they called castellans at the time. Basically, it's keepers of the castle. That's where we come into play. And then, of course, you get out of this particular transition phase, and it was kind of that 150 years was fairly uneventful, I would say.
Yeah, there wasn't anything really going on there.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on. So everybody living happy lives for about 150 years. And then next thing you know, something happened just prior to 1490, where the castle was then granted to Colin Campbell, the first Earl of Argyll, by King James IV of Scotland. So somehow or another, this went into that play. Now, I know that you had the Wars of Independence there in Scotland that was going to have some kind of play in this as well somewhere. But as far as the castle itself, it looks like it's pretty uneventful right there. So yeah. What have you got on 1490? Anything about Colin Campbell?
Well, I mean, the main thing I really saw was, I think, basically what you went through was when it was awarded the castle, he appointed, he appointed the Campbells, some other Campbells, as keepers of the castle, but they squabbled about who was going to be in charge.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the main thing I saw around that time period.
Well, as it goes, right? And, we should learn from history. We should really take heed of history, because in this situation, while the Campbells are squabbling about who's going to be in charge, who was in charge? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody was in charge. So remember that, when you're running business, or you're, dealing in your own situations in, I don't know, workplace or whatever you got going on. If you're going to squabble about who's in charge, nobody's going to be in charge during that time. No. And so that means the important matters at hand aren't being dealt with, aren't being tended to, and things seem to go awry, and it comes into a being of anarchy, and it's never good. So that's one of those things that we should take a lesson from history, huh?
Yeah, just like what we say is a group, basically no drama.
Yeah, absolutely. No drama, no BS, you two fellas have a problem. Well, that's cool. Go handle your business. Don't bring everybody else involved in it,
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. So I want to really touch into this next session, because it's going to get pretty ugly here for the castle coming up. But, before we do that, Andrew, why don't we go into a commercial break and get a word from our sponsors here real quick. And when we get back, I'll take some comments here, and then we'll continue on with the real juicy stuff of the topic. What do you think?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back, folks. Holy cow, what a lineup. Matt Barron said, share it out, guys. Thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate that,
Thank
buddy.
you.
Robert Humphreys, thanking Matt Barron for sharing out. Right on. Right on there, Robert. Let's see. We got Christopher Ken Keith. Hey, brothers, representing the Ohio division of PD Region Paranormal. Absolutely. Parafam, brother. Parafam. Good to see you, man. Let's see. Brian James, the other co founder of Global United Paranormal Foundation. What's up, brother? Says, what's up, Drayton Eldon? Parafam. Absolutely. Parafam, bro. Let's see. Matt, no worries. Shared static as well. Got to show the love to the family. Absolutely. Got to show that love. Let's see here. Well, we got a few of them going on here. Christopher says, what's up, Brian James? Brian James says, what's up, everybody in the chat? Absolutely. What's up, everybody? I like that umbrella. He just kind of umbrellas the whole thing. He's like, nah, I ain't going to do this individually. We're just going to cover everybody in one statement. And here it goes. Everyone. All right, Robert Humphrey. Yes, sir. Thank you, Matt. Get in touch when you up, bro. Okay. Personalized messages. I love it. Raymond Newsom. Hey, hey. What's up, brother? From Brian James. There we go. Personal messages tonight or day off. Hey, day off, Matt. Day off. Not tonight. It's got to be your day off. He wants to get more than 20 minutes with you, bro. All right. Robert Humphreys. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll have to go with what Robert said. He said whenever you have to. So I guess we'll have to go with that. See, learning from the McInvilles. Oh, no, man. Don't learn from us. We're just learning from what we read, man. So, and we'll just spit out what we're just kind of like the middleman. We're just, delivering the message. That's all. But hey, thanks, brother. Appreciate that. What's up, Mr. PD Region, Ohio from Brian? And let's see. Oh, Matt with another personal message here. Brian Horton, shock the system, brothers. Yeah, absolutely. Time to shock the system. Brian Horton. Yeah. Brian Horton's got it right. Shock the system. And Brian James, ROFL. He's got all them sideways kind of laughing things going on there. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's move on into some juicy stuff here, man. We're going to get into some battles and things like that, So in 1647, right? So we're off of the 1490 where the castle was granted to Colin Campbell, which was the first Earl of Argyll, and that was done by King James IV of Scotland, which, by the way, King James IV of Scotland, he died at the Battle of Flodden in 1513, which is, by the way, noted as being one of Scotland's worst military defeats. Just so you know that. So you need to keep that in mind. The Battle of Flodden was considered one of Scotland's worst military defeats. That's going to be for another topic, probably for another day. We can get into that later, but yeah, man, if you want to take the time and look it up on Google, go ahead, but you'll see that it wasn't nice, man. It was horrific. So in 1647, during the Wars of the Three Kingdoms, and if nobody knows what the War of Three Kingdoms was, it's really a no-brainer back then. It was Scotland, Ireland, and England.
England.
That's right. And it also had another name. They called it the British Civil War between 1639 and 1653. So during this particular time is when Castle Sween was actually attacked by a guy back then that they called, in part of that area, they called him Alistair MacColla. In English, the English variant name is Sir Alexander MacDonald. Ring a bell?
Yeah.
MacDonald. So here we got MacDonald's that possessed the castle prior, back in the 1300s?
Yes.
1400s. And here we are. We are now almost 300 years later, and we've got a MacDonald attacking the castle. Holy cow.
Yeah, you got Campbell's, McDonald's everywhere.
Yeah, and that feud between the McDonald's and the Campbells lasted for a very long time. It was almost like the Hatfields and McCoys here in the States. Just
Yeah.
on a larger scale. If you can imagine back then, the McCoys and the Hatfields, they were like right there, West Virginia, Kentucky area, right there on that line, and they were squabbling back and forth, and they had a little family affairs going on that was really not good and escalating, and people were starting to shoot other people, and it just got a little messy with that little family. But now to put that on a larger scale, you could imagine this going over the course of 4 states involving 2 clans. It was just like, yeah, it was a big deal for quite some time,
Yeah.
and it was a big mess. So now Alexander McDonald, or should I say Sir Alexander McDonald, he passed away November of 1647 at the Battle of Knocknanos. So, and again, that's another one of those battles that was pretty tripped out and, pretty active, just like the War of the Three Kingdoms and things like that. It's not a whole lot that I'm going to get into in this segment because there's a whole lot of things going on to it, that it's just going to probably, what do you think, maybe 4 or 5 parts to that one, because
Yeah.
it's
It's
just
a lot.
yeah, there's just a lot to it. I would encourage anybody to go look these battles up if you want a little history on that, to see what's going on with, where each side stood at that time, and what their interest was and why they were doing what they were doing. It's just a big mess, just as any family feud would be. So the thing that was really, really interesting about this attack by Sir Alexander MacDonald onto Castle Sween was the fact that he brought his Irish Confederate followers.
Yep.
So it wasn't England. It wasn't England that destroyed the castle. It wasn't a different clan located in Scotland that destroyed the castle. It was Sir Alexander MacDonald that had Irish roots, brought his Irish Confederate followers over to destroy the castle. That was Ireland did that. Yeah, Ireland, that was you. That was all you, man. Ireland did it.
Yeah, they're the ones that built it and the ones that destroyed it.
That's it. That's where I was going with it exactly. It was the Irish that built it. It was the Irish that destroyed it. But it served out its years in Scotland and served mostly Scottish clans. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
So it kind of sat from 1647 in ruins all the way up, man. I mean, almost the next 300 years, it just kind of sat there and did nothing really. All the way up until about 1933, when it was put in the care of the Historic Building and Monuments Directorate, which is the UK's Department of basically Historic Societies, is what that was. It's now no longer in existence, and it's now under the protection of Historic Scotland.
Yeah, they normally do like tours, but I know right now I think it's been closed, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. Actually, the last report of it being closed is in 2018 from the Historic Environment, or the Historic Environment Scotland noted. Let me put it that way. That Castle Sween is at a quote unquote very high risk of coastal erosion due to climate change. Well, we got climate change everywhere, so I think everything's kind of in danger of that. But I would assume probably since it's on the water line right there, because of all of that, you got the salts and all that in that water.
Yeah.
That's going to definitely erode that rock a lot quicker than it would if it was sitting somewhere inland, maybe. So, but that's where that's sitting right now. But so now Castle Sween. So let's continue on a little bit and dive into some side notes about Castle Sween. So we got a tower there called McMillan Tower. Talking about this tower, do we know what McMillan Tower was built for?
It was basically a latrine.
Basically a latrine. Imagine that. I'm really not surprised at that. So we built an entire tower on the side of this castle for the purpose of a latrine, which, if y'all don't know what a latrine is, okay, it's a restroom, but So they had to climb up this tower at the very top, and of course that's where they did their business. And not a whole lot was underneath, was it?
No.
Or at least we hope it went kind of through some channeling somewhere. And I'm not sure how that construction worked out in the whole. I'm pretty savvy when it comes to plumbing, and I'm thinking to myself, that's pretty interesting, because that's coming from the top of that tower and where it would have to go. Now, I got to give them credit though. The side that tower is on is actually on the side with the coast.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that actually ran off into the water. But then
It may have.
where'd they get their water source? I think, did they have a well on the property? Did you know if they had a well or?
I think there was people that have come in after it's been all or messed up and everything now, and they said that they saw a line and they ran where it ran to, and it didn't run to the water. It ran, I guess, into the ground. They must have had a well or something there, probably.
Good. So at least they didn't contaminate their supply, right?
Yeah.
Right. So let's see here. Daisy says, "Hi, kids." Oh, how you doing, Daisy? So cool, man. Cool. So, and then in later construction efforts to the castle, I think they put in an area that was a large, like, bread oven area. They built a large bread oven area. So it kind of makes me wonder, as years went on, they made it a little bit more livable, maybe, accommodating more things, which makes me question the early construction of the castle. What was it actually really constructed for?
Yeah.
If they didn't have these already, that's my family's castle. Oh, wow. Somebody says that's my family's castle. Well, shocker, because it's ours too. So maybe there's some relation there. That's why we're discussing Castle Sween. So, so they later put in that bread oven, and I don't think I have any photographs of the bread oven, but I'll tell you. Let me share some photographs of current day Castle Sween for you guys to look at. So this is definitely the front of Castle Sween as it sits today, and if you notice, it's sitting in some pretty hard disrepair there.
Yeah.
And again, you guys seen how close it is to the water. Now this next photograph, Andrew, this has got to be like some gorgeous view right here. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a good view.
Although the quality of that thing sucks, to be honest. And to looking straight down, this is really what's left of the castle today. That inner courtyard, not much left of it, the photograph from inside that courtyard, that's what it would look like. And you'll see how the front kind of overlooks that waterway. Now, if you would have left out that entrance and kind of gone straight and to your left, that's where they actually docked all the boats.
Yeah, compared to a lot of castles back then, though, I mean, it's still in decent shape.
Oh yeah, because this castle is every bit of about 900 years old, and it is considered one of the oldest stone castle in Scotland, and its outer fortitude is still up.
Yeah. It took some battles, but it wasn't as many as some of the other castles. So.
Right. So, Christopher says, "Wait a minute, I'm related to Bloody Mary, Queen of Scotland." Yeah, a lot of us are. That's for sure. A lot of us are, and then some. Let me tell you, and then some. But that's for a different show. I think we'll talk about that in a different show. We kind of talked about that a little bit on our opening podcast, didn't we?
Yeah.
Podcast, some of the roots and things like that, and where some of that stemmed from. I think we touched on some of that also with Janet Douglas.
Yeah, Edinburgh.
There at Edinburgh, some of the haunted claims there at Edinburgh Castle, we discussed that about Janet Douglas. And Janet Douglas, through some marriage ties, has some relation there too. So it's kind of all intertwined. It's like a big old spider web, and it's very, very difficult to keep it all in perspective.
And then talk about haunting and ghosts and paranormal stories. I mean, when we deal with this with Castle Sween, we couldn't find any kind of paranormal ties to it. There may be some, but we couldn't find any in any of our research.
Yeah, so if anybody goes to research haunted Castle Sween, guess what? You're going to get this podcast, guys. We're not stating any claims that Castle Sween is haunted by any means. That's not what this particular podcast is about. Trust me, had I found something that it might have been or suggested to have been haunted, I would have talked about it and discussed it. However, just as with any other location that we hear about that's haunted, we never declare or confirm that it is haunted unless we investigate it ourselves and we can find out for ourselves based on scientific facts that it's in fact haunted. So we never make that claim, just as we're not making a claim today that Castle Sween is haunted. We can't make that claim.
Now, we'd love to go over there and investigate it one day.
That we would do. That we would do in our skirts. Oh, I'm sorry, in our kilts. we got to get Robert in one of his Scottish kilts over there, or no, that's skirt for him, kilt for us.
Your mini kilts.
So let's see here. Christopher says maybe we should try to attain the rights to the throne. No, man, I got more than enough on my plate as it is. Thank you very much. So, but that's as much of a good idea and as tempting as that is, man. I think I'll leave that to somebody else. They can have that headache. Make some changes. Oh yeah, you could definitely probably make some changes that way, couldn't you? Although I don't know though, man, because I think even the Queen of England, she's more of a public figure than an authoritative type person, isn't she?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
she
for the
doesn't.
most part, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know that we'd be able to make very many changes.
It's not like it used to be back in those days.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think they ought to go back to some of that, to be honest. But that's just me. I think it might straighten up some of these kids today.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What else do I have in my bag of tricks there? What do you got left in your bag of tricks there?
See, well, mine, one of the big ones left is talking about Robert. Let's see, where's that? Robert the Bruce.
Robert the Bruce. Yeah, you can't get away from talking about Scotland without somehow or another bringing up Robert the Bruce.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Hit me, man. What's up with Robert the Bruce?
Well, I mean, what he has to do with Castle Sween was he plotted an attack back in the 1300s. I've seen different dates, so I don't know the exact date. But it was held by McDonald's at the time, Alexander McDonald, who had it. He had sided with the English, and his brother Angus sided with Bruce. And so basically they attacked the castle, took over the castle, and then they went through Clan Campbell territory to be able to get to the McDougalls and their castles. And in the process of doing that, they were having to go through a small little area that had a bunch of mountains and basically had a small area to go through. So the McDougalls decided to try to get up on the mountain and plot basically an attack, an ambush. But Bruce thought that was going to happen. So he ended up taking some archers and got onto a higher ground. So as they decided to try to start going through it, and basically they were going to throw rocks at them, big boulders. So basically instead the archers ended up attacking and killing all the people that were doing the ambush. Ended up going through and taking all the McDougalls' castles anyway.
Man, I'd like to know whose Cheerios did the Campbells piss in, man? Because, you're right. The Campbells, they controlled a lot of area in that vicinity. And the McDonald's was really out after that, that area. And a lot of the control that Campbell's had, they were seriously after them. And like I said, I don't know whose Cheerios they pissed in and who they made mad. But boy, they had the hellfire of fury coming down on them during those days. I'll tell you, they were like somebody was wanting them out of the way. That's it, just gone. Like like
Yeah. It's like everything we research, they always seem to be the ones getting in the most damage done to them. So
they've had the hell beat out of them. It's like I don't know, get the squeegee and wipe wipe them with a squeegee and get rid of them, kind of thing. Gone. Good lordy, I'm surprised we got Campbell's left today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at least the McDonald's did one good thing. They came out with a good franchise.
Yeah.
So, and McMillan's they got Cargill now. Cargill Company. So, a lot of good things came out of it.
Yeah.
And Scotland today's got some really good people. I've met a couple people from Scotland, and they're just fantastic people over there. Their hospitality is just off the charts, dude.
Yeah, that's for sure an area I'm ready to go to.
Yeah, me too, man. And I think we need to go over there and plan a trip and do a podcast right there from Castle Sween. I think that would be great.
Yeah,
we might have to get maybe some satellite internet link up or something, but I guess we'll have to do what we got to do.
Or if we had to record it, whatever.
Yeah, we could record it, but then of course we can't get the live viewers, interact with us either. So it kind of sucks, but who knows? We could be walking around that thing and they could view somebody right behind us.
Yeah.
And I mean somebody other than Robert, because I'm sure Robert would be there too. But yeah, Robert won't let us go to Scotland without taking him. Let me tell you, he's like, no, he'll be like getting in our way. You're not going anywhere. No boy, that's for sure. So, man, holy cow, a lot of stuff with Castle Sween that I didn't even know there, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I researched I didn't know anything about too.
Yeah, it's a lot of history, 900 years of history. And man, we just touched on bullet points, so we didn't go a lot into the war of it because, quite frankly, I don't think we want to be here for the next 10 hours, because that's what that would take. That would definitely take a long time, because there's a lot of aspects with those battles that went over, course of several years. And fact is, the Campbells was a blunt to a lot of that.
Yeah.
And of course, then you had the, squabbles between the English and the Irish and the Scottish. You had that going on, and I guess not really a whole lot different from today, Yeah,
there's always wars going on somewhere.
Yeah. So Christopher says he'd do what he can. Let's see. He also says I would watch that for sure. Absolutely. I'd probably record it anyways and just watch it over again just to see what I could see.
Yeah.
And Christopher, something about the Scots. They were fighting for their freedom and their land from the Brits, and the Scots were pretty good people. Yeah, and they were pretty good at what they did too. Absolutely. Haven't done too much research on Scotland. You ought to dig it. You ought to check it out because, when you start researching Scotland, it's an entirely different type of history that you're looking at. And it's, at first, it's rather confusing, but if you can get the families down and understand how the families were named and where it comes from, and you start getting the roots and the historical facts to that, things start making more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Like I said before, it's like this one thing that you basically go down a rabbit hole just looking at one thing. One thing could lead into like 10 other different things that you're researching at the time.
I wonder if we go, if we can check out a library there and get some literature from one of those libraries there.
Yeah, maybe.
They've got to have a lot of old stuff there. What do you think?
Yeah, they probably do. You might can get some more definitive, basically history than like basically what we were getting, because we couldn't figure out some of the dates because there were so many different conflicting dates.
Oh yeah, there's. Just when was it built? Well, nobody knows that. This seems to be controversy or something because there's like a 100-year controversial span there between the year 1050 and 1150 that no one's really positive when it was built. So it's things like that, which I'm not surprised. I don't think we'll ever get a concrete date as to when it was built, but I guess that's about as good as we can get it. Then it is what it is.
Yeah.
But maybe now I do know that the 12th century is listed on a plaque.
Yeah,
On
and that's what you
location.
would go more with.
Yeah, I would probably have to go more with what the plaque is depicting than what I would see on Wikipedia or something like that. So
Yeah.
I'm more inclined to believe it was built somewhere in the beginning stages of the 12th century.
Yeah, because the plaque also had one about it was either James the Third or James the Fourth. There's been a conflicting with that with the plaque and all some of the research I saw too.
Yeah, a lot of what I was seeing was with James IV, so I'm probably more inclined to believe it was that one.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So let's see here. Let's see. Haven't done too much research on Scotland. Should probably do that. It's really cool. I will. Yep. It's a big part of my heritage. Absolutely. That's kind of what got me into it because it's a huge part of mine. That's for sure, and it's definitely a huge part of. Oh yeah, there he goes. Andrew's heritage.
Yeah, and I didn't do a lot of research till we started this, so I've been diving into it some now.
Yep. Christopher says that will be cool as hell. Absolutely. Oh my lordy, what the heck was this just come through?
Like the same thing was posted in different places.
I know I see that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm
Just
gonna
click
do
one.
this here. Yeah, I'm just gonna click on one from PD Region Paranormal. We haven't heard from them in a while. Knowledge is power, but never ending in the learning of our history for sure. I'm so interested in my family history, and I am in the beginning stages of research and the family tree. Absolutely. That's for sure. Like Humphreys, I think, is also Scottish, I think. Oops, it's Robert. Oh, okay. What up, Robert? Well, Robert's a little Scottish, ain't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Robert's Scottish. So, I think, while I'll bet you he's toking on a cigarette right now. What do you think? Think he's toking on
Either
a
that or
cigarette?
vape.
Either that or vape.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe do we have somebody in here that maybe wants to hear from Robert and see what maybe his Scottish side might be for a minute and see if maybe he's got any knowledge on his castles or what he's wanting to find out. Anybody want to hear from Robert? How about you, Andrew? You want to hear from Robert?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We're gonna pull Robert in here.
What's up?
What up? What up, Robert? We just gonna pull you into this thing, man. When you had a fantastic podcast with Paranormal Static just a little bit ago, man. Your numbers were off the charts, my friend. You had Drew from DNTV over there in the UK on your podcast, and let me tell you, it was fabulous. Hats off to you, man. Hats off, bro. You all did a fabulous
for sure.
job, you and Brian Horton.
Appreciate it, man. We worked hard on that one.
Absolutely. Well, you got a little Scottish in you, man, with the Humphrey side, don't you?
Yes, sir, we do. I'm just now beginning. That was me. I didn't mean to post that in all those locations.
Yeah, that came up when I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of locations coming up here.
Yeah, I didn't know I had to set on all button in the backstage. But yeah, as far as the Humphreys name, I'm just in the beginning stages of my research, but it comes from Scotland, of course. I did find the Humphreys crest from Scotland, and there is 2 castles that I found that is Humphreys castles.
And do you know the name of them?
Not yet, but I will have it for you very soon. I'm digging into it hard.
Outstanding.
But I did learn, Andrew, because you're part Humphreys too.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't Humphreys in the day.
Nope.
It sounds Humphreys, but it's not spelled like we spell it. It was HUMPFREZZ.
That's correct.
And our ancestors changed it due to job related issues. Let's just say it that way, because I don't want to get into the reason yet. But they changed the spelling of it for job related issues. So it's going to be a pretty good bit of information I got to dig up. But I want to take the Humphreys family tree back as far as I can, kind of like y'all did the McInvilles, and get some of our other roots. So you're going to have your side from the McInvilles, and you're going to have your side from the Humphreys. So, dude, you're going to know where you're from all the way around.
Well, let me tell you what, in researching the McInville side as it relates to the McMillans, I'll tell you, I've been able to dig up some skeletons, boy. So, if you're researching your family roots, expect to dig up some skeletons.
Oh, I already have.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I already have. I mean, it's just like, mine and Andrew's great grandmother. She wasn't from Scotland at all. She was from America. She was 100% Native American.
Mm-hmm.
And I even found her reservation card, reservation numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting where all this entwines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, just take a deep breath and relax when you're looking at some of these facts, because some of it can be pretty dang shocking.
You ain't lying. Some of it you might not even want to know.
That's very true. Some of it you don't want to know. There's a few things I know about, our ancestry, mine and Andrew's, that I would have been able to go the rest of my life not knowing. But unfortunately, I get that picture. So there it is.
I do hope that I find out my family was half as cool as yours, though, and we had a latrine in the air that we could drop down 75 foot.
Are you making fun of our pooper tower over there in Castle Sween? Yes, guys, we had a pooper tower in Castle Sween. It was built for that purpose, man. Okay, for those of us, or for those of them who know us well, they'll probably get the joke.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. But yeah, I hope my family's half as cool as y'all's do.
Yeah. Andrew's over there laughing because he knows.
For sure.
Yeah, he knows how crazy the Humphrey side is too, and they ain't no telling what we're going to dig up when we open that box of worms.
Right. So let's see here real quick. Christopher says, heck yeah, we're bringing Robert on. Let's see. He also says, my grandma has the family tree book. I'm still waiting to see it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be cool to see that. Christopher says, yeah, let's hear from Robert. Well, here he is, the man in the flesh. See, so am I. I'm sure there's a ton of skeletons in that closet. There's going to be skeletons in everybody's family closet. Let me tell you, there always is. Donna, I'm part Scandinavian.
Hey, Miss Donna, good job with what you got going on in Arizona. Good job. I've been watching.
Oh yeah. And for those of you who don't know who Miss Donna is, I think we've got an advertisement here for Miss Donna. There we go. She is our team manager for the Arizona division, and she is currently accepting applicants to join her team. So if you are interested in joining the Arizona team, contact her, get a hold of her, and give her some love and talk with her. She's really cool, really good people, and see what you can work out with her.
Yeah, it would be an honor to be on her team for anybody that's interested in the paranormal field, because I'm telling you, her team is going to do great things over there.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. And real quick, while we're shouting out real quick, if you're in the Washington area, get a hold of Richard Guthrie. He's the guy you want to talk to over there and see what he's got going on for you. He's coming up in the ranks there, and he's also collabing with Donna. We're putting them in touch with each other, and I'm sure he's going to do a lot of good things for him too.
That's right.
And last but not least, our very own Andrew McInville. This is our North Carolina team manager. Again, get a hold of him if you're in the North Carolina area or in the area of the Kakalakis over there. Get a hold of Andrew, and he can get you hooked up and go from there. So I think we pretty much come out with a lot of information about Castle Sween tonight, man, from like building to where it is today. And right now it's kind of on the endangered list right now.
Yeah.
Um, that being the case, we're talking about wanting to go to Castle Sween, check it out. Literally because of it being under the protection of Scotland right now in historic Scotland. And it being closed at the moment, I don't think we're going to be able to get in there because of it being in the preservation period, like where it is right now. So that'll have to be something that we can look into. We may have to go back and I don't know, check out Castle Edinburgh or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Castle
Love to do
Edinburgh. Castle Edinburgh would be cool to walk around, like
Yeah.
at 2:00 in the morning.
I tell you what, Drew, while y'all over there in Scotland doing all this digging, find a Humphreys Castle and do an episode on it for me. Help me out.
Send him a postcard or give it to him in the back seat.
Yeah.
Probably going to give it to him in the back seat, probably because he's going to be right there.
I ain't gonna be far from any of it. You better believe that.
Yeah. Well, I love picking on you there on this show, Robert, because since you're part Scottish too, I gotta get you in on the conversation, buddy.
That's right.
So got to do it to you. That being said, man. What do you think, Andrew? You think we ought to put some more out there, or should we save it for another day and kind of put an end to this tonight?
I think we save it for another day. I think we touched the main points.
I think so too. I think we gave some goodies out there and discussed a lot of information about Castle Sween. Again, like I said, we're not claiming that Castle Sween is haunted. We've been unsuccessful in locating any claims to the fact. So we can't say yay or nay either way of what's going on in that particular piece for Castle Sween. This is primarily to give a little backdrop of Castle Sween, what it is, how it came to be, what it was used for, and what its fate came to be as it stands today. So that's pretty much what it encompasses. You got anything you want to add, Robert?
Yeah, I do. I need to add one thing. Let these fine people know about next week.
About next week. Well, I've got something that just might kind of help out with that. If we're talking about the same thing, of course.
Well, I think we're on the same page, but I'm also talking about the McInville show next week.
Yeah. So the McInville show next week. Are we having a McInville show next week, Drew?
No, we're gonna have to hold it off to the next week after.
Which would be the 2nd of June. So, and that's exactly right. We are not having a show next week. Unfortunately, I'm going through a move. So I'm not going to be able to give out the time that is needed for the podcast to prepare for it. And I would rather come prepared with some more information than just trying to rush through it. So we're going to hold off, and the next podcast will be on the 2nd of June. So that being said, it'll be 2 weeks from today that 2 weeks from today that I'll see you. Well, I'll probably see you, but we'll see the fans 2 weeks from now.
I tell you what we'll do to make up for it, though. Next week on Paranormal Static, after we're airing next Wednesday at 8 o'clock to kind of help PETA because of the time difference between Australia and us over here in Eastern. Right. So it's going to be on Wednesday. So that's going to free Thursday up. So me and Drew might pop on here with a little special podcast Thursday with some of the PD boys.
Look at that.
And we got some family PD business that we're going to put out there, Drew. What do you think about that?
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Now that sounds like it's going to be really fun. So
it will be.
That's 2 weeks from today. So, all right. That being said, I'm going to play a couple little clips here, and then we're going to go to our outro. And for now, guys, been great talking with you. Been very informative. I learned a few things. I think you learned a few things, Drew.
Yeah,
and I know Robert learned a couple of things.
Yeah, I learned to make sure where you're posting to before you put a comment in.
We'll catch Robert in the back. So, yeah, and he's right. He's right. When you're posting on that, it does have a little button there that you can either select what you're replying as or all. And unfortunately, if you don't watch what you're doing there, you can post it to all of them, and it comes out. That post will hit every single time for every single location. And it's like, gee, many crickets. So, Parapost Central says, great show. It's B. What up, B? And Donna says, hey, thanks. And she says, aw. All right. So I think we've got this thing all wrapped up. We got everybody checked out. So we're going to run into a couple closing videos, and then we're going to go with the outro, my man. But you know what? Until the next show, you take care, man, and let's study up. And I'm not going to let out what the next topic's going to be because we're going to just surprise them with that one. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do it.
I don't want to announce that right now because I think it's going to be, because what I've got in my head is going to be pretty cool. It's a little off a topic from Scotland, but this next one, I'm going to give a hint. Think of painter and serial murders. And I'll just close with that. All right. So you take care, Drew.
You too.
All right. And thanks, guys, for coming to watch. And we're going to go into our videos.